Hey, this is Al McGee with YATicket.com. I'm here with my good buddy Steve Leibowitz at MovieNight.net. He's a great film critic, been doing it for years. And we're going to talk about a film that's in his genre that he really loves. Horror, vampires. We're going to talk about Abigail. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good. How you been today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Well, Abigail, let's start off with you. What do you think of this new film, Abigail, where children can be such monsters?
Yeah. Well, speaking of monsters, Al, of all the movie monsters we have out there, I gotta say, vampires are probably have the more stories told about them than any other movie monster out there. I mean, right now, Godzilla Kong's in the theater right now doing
Right.
big box office. But even though there's been like tons of Godzilla movies and lots of King Kong movies, you can combine them all together, King Kong, Godzilla movies, and they still wouldn't even hold a candle to the number of stories we have out there about vampires. Now I'm just talking about movies, not even talking about TV.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and the biggest challenge
And
with a vampire
books.
movie and books, yeah, is of course, give the audience something new, something you haven't seen before. So the guys over at Radio Silence, they did Ready or Not, and the last two, they kind of revived the Scream franchise. They did the last two Scream movies, have now come up with Abigail. And as a vampire, it's okay. Here's the story. You got a bunch of criminals. They kidnap a 12-year-old girl, and they're going to hold her for like $50 million ransom. Okay, well, that kind of plot. But it turns
Yeah.
out this little girl is actually a vampire, and she's there to who just likes to play with her food, and and she's actually all these people there are just so she can eat them all. So it's so there's your plot.
Yeah, but the thing about this film is it made me feel like I've seen this before. It made me feel like I saw this movie before. That's how it made me feel. Now, they had two directors on here, Bettinelli-Olpin and Gillette. Again, they were Radio Silence.
Yeah.
I thought that direction was going to where they wanted to really impress people with this film. And again, but I see a lot of films, and when I see a film that only has a house, and so that lets me know they don't have a big budget for locations and things like that. So everybody is in this house going from room to room, which I kind of like that. I like that in a lot of stories where they go from room to room where things are supposed to be different. But again, I've seen that before where they go from room to room and something happens in each different room. But that's why I like this film. I didn't love it. It seemed familiar to me, but Abigail, it just didn't thrill me.
Well, and I'm with you on that. I mean, I always say this about the screenplay because I thought this was going to be okay. Girl kidnappers and she kills them one by one, and until there's one left, between her and final girl. And the script does take some turns that I didn't see coming. I mean, I thought I knew how it was going to exactly played out, and it didn't do that. So that part made me happy because if I can't predict it, you did a good job. A lot of the time, I mean, there was one time when she opens up the shade, I'm like, she's gonna kill with sunlight at the end. That's how it's gonna happen. And not to spoil anything, that's not how it happens. But yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you the other thing that really bothered me about this film, Al.
What was that?
There's a lot of certain vampire rules and so on, and you could change them and make them around. For example, in this movie, like sunlight and a stake through the heart will still kill a vampire. But garlic and crosses don't hurt Abigail in this movie, and that's fine. But one thing that's always
and that's trying to be a little bit different too. They're trying to be a little bit different with that.
But
also.
You know what? They when they initially kidnap her, they drug her to knock her out, and they give this one girl, the lead, feels her pulse, and she has a pulse.
Vampires a vampire has a pulse?
Yes, vampires don't have heartbeats. That is
That's right.
fast rule. Now I guess they were trying to establish, hey, they have the crosses don't hurt them, and so we're trying to establish that these vampires have heartbeats. Well, you really are pushing the boundaries now.
Remember, they're dead. They're already dead.
Yes. So that's why they can take a bullet to the head or something, or fly and so on, because yes, that's why they're dead. That's why. So to put this little tidbit in here really sort of takes you out of it a bit. And I mean, I
It
know,
did. It took me out. It really took me out. I said, wait a minute. And are they working on the intelligence of the audience or what? I don't
or I
know.
thought maybe there'll be some like some kind of exposition, like maybe she, just a little thing. Oh yeah, I have this little motor in me to simulate a heartbeat. That's what to help fool you. I'm like, okay, stupid, but you explained it, so I'm okay now. I can move on. But that never
Yeah,
happened, and apparently vampires don't have heartbeats. So that one was a really like, you really you blew it there. You just had to you put this in there to help make your movie go along, and we just are supposed to ignore it. And actually, they bring it to
exactly.
twice, so they have it. So you don't even forget about it because they bring up, hey, we could drug her again because so they're bringing it up twice. So that part really brought me out. And Ebb, although now as far as a horror guy goes, one thing this movie does have is blood and gore,
A
a
lot of
lot
blood
of
and gore.
gore.
In fact, I was thinking of the set people. When they cut and things like that, how they had to redo that again and again. I have to give it to those people. They really worked very well to enhance the gore and things like that on the different settings that they went to within the house. Because every room is a different setting in the house. So
Right.
I really gave it to them for that. But again, I don't know, it just seems so familiar to me.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed the actors in this film, Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, and Kevin Durant. Also Angus Cloud, who well, in the end of the film, you'll see that he died. And he died in real life of a drug overdose. And also William Catlett, you know, and also, you got a special guest. Well, he wasn't a special guest. He's part of the plot. Giancarlo Esposito. He
He's
played
showing up.
Lambert.
He's showing up everywhere these days. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
he's got a new series right now on AMC. Of course, he's in The Mandalorian. He's in The Boys. So yeah, his star is on the rise, and at a little more of an advanced age too. But he's getting where it's sometimes hard to get movie roles because everything goes to the young. But he's finding himself steady work. So
Yeah,
he's
I
becoming a
really like
star.
him as an actor, and I interviewed him a few years ago. Very nice guy, treated me very well,
Cool.
and I treated him very well. He's a very good guy to
That's
talk
always
to
good to hear.
too.
It's always good to hear when we, because sometimes we interview these celebrities and they're kind of stuck up and have an attitude, and you're like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
so it's always good when we meet somebody and they're good people.
yeah. Well, how do you rate Abigail?
I usually don't like to say movies just okay because I mean, although I think I did adequately explain myself. So for this movie, Abigail, 2 swords out of 4.
Well, I'm giving it 2 palm trees out of 4 palm trees, and the reason I have palm trees because I'm here in South Florida, but 2 palm trees out of
And
four.
I do swords because I'm the movie night.
I know you're the movie night, KNIGHT dot
Yes.
net, and well, but it was fun to watch, and it was a little crowd pleasing,
And yes,
but
yeah,
again,
it has good humor too. The humor always lands. A lot of times when horror movies try to interact humor, it falls flat. Here, the humor actually works really well. The audience we saw with did have laugh out loud moments, so that was fun. But yeah, and some people, I heard one guy at our audience say, "Oh man, this was awesome!" Like, really? But you know what? Some people are easy to please, and for those people who come to see this movie, they'll have a better time than you and I.
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Steve at movienight.net. I want
Yes.
to thank you for being my guest here, and thank
Always
you
a
for
pleasure,
helping
Al.
me to review this film, Abigail. But I will always recommend people go see it for yourself. Please go see the film for yourself. Go to the movie theaters
Yeah.
because we need them. We don't want to see them disappear at all. So go to the movie theater and see this film, Abigail. Well, thank you, Steve.
Oh,
And
yes.
I'll talk to you soon and we'll watch another movie together.
Yes.
Take care.
You too.